Hi there and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. I'm Byron and we are in the senior mage quarters. Because apparently we're senior mage, or at least a mage. Hey, this is Karl. Aren't you the guy who's supposed to be in love with April?
Oh, hello. I'm glad to see your harrowing went smoothly.
Why are you stuttering? Why, hello Cullen.
They picked me as the Templar to strike the killing blow if you became an abomination. It's nothing personal, I swear. I'm just glad you're alright, you know?
Would you really have struck me down?
I would have felt terrible about it. But I serve the Chantry and the Maker, and I will do as I am commanded.
No, I'm not gonna seduce this guy. I need to go.
Yes. Maybe we can talk another time.
Maybe not. You are ready to kill me. I'm not gonna make out with you. And besides, you're not my type. More lyrium dust. Okay.
I wonder how the King's army fares at Ostgar. I've heard talk of a new blight.
Yep, that would suck. Private documents. A list of household accounts and expenditure over time, useful for merchants negotiating contracts and wages. I take everything, but apparently I'm on a... Oh, my inventory is limited. I'm a little fatigued.
I'd avoid Leora if I were you. She's been rather testy lately.
Who?
Senior Enchanter, Leora, over there.
Ah, okay. Anyway, before we go there...
I hear Irving's very proud of you.
Everybody seems to be very proud of me.
Right.
Okay, some reagents. We take them. You have quite a health poultice. I already had several. Well, whatever. These instantly restore some of your health. Yeah, I know. It's a health potion. Or potion. I will use them if necessary.
You're not going to keep the first enchanter waiting, are you?
Maybe a little.
Ah, this is infuriating. Another batch destroyed. Say, have you seen Owain? Is he in the stockroom?
Yes, I just spoke to him.
Oh, excellent. He wasn't there last I looked. I hope he still has some cinnabar lying around. When I asked last week, he said he was running out.
I hope this is not a fetch quest. No, apparently not. I don't really like fetch quests. Nobody does.
Hope you're having a good day.
Yeah, it's... Well, I'm not dead. That's gotta count for something. There's Owain again.
Blessed art thou who exists in the sight of the Maker.
We stay silent.
Blessed are the penitents who seek his return. Blessed is the prophetess, purified by flame. May the chant reach the Maker's ears and tell him of our contrition, so let it be. Oh, I didn't see you there. I recite the Maker's blessings every day. It brings me peace in troubled times.
Are you in trouble?
No, not really. It's just... I don't want to bore you with this.
It's alright, I want to know.
It gives me hope that one day the Maker will hear us. That maybe I'll be forgiven and my curse will be lifted.
What curse?
Magic? What else?
Magic isn't a curse.
Magic causes such misery. It's dangerous and vile and wicked. The Chantry must protect the world from us. Being born with something so terrible must be a punishment. I wish I could be rid of it.
You could ask to be made tranquil.
That takes the magic from me? It does, doesn't it?
It also takes away your ability to feel.
I had heard that, but life without magic is so tempting. I should go. My mentor only allows a few minutes each day for religious contemplation.
Well, if you're willing to pay the price, it's your decision. I wouldn't judge you to profit Andraste. 50 more XP. This is important. Andraste, bride of the Maker. There was once a tiny fishing village on the waking sea that was set upon by the Tevinter Imperium, which enslaved the villagers to be sold in the markets of Minrathus, leaving behind only the old and the infirm. One of the captives was the child Andraste. She was raised in slavery in a foreign land. She escaped and made the long and treacherous journey back to her homeland alone. She rose from nothing to be the wife of an Elmari warlord. Each day she sang to the gods, asking them to help her people who remained slaves in Tevinter. The false gods of the mountains and the winds did not answer, but the true god did. The Maker spoke. He showed her all the works of his hands, the fate, the world, and all the creatures therein. He showed her how men had forgotten him, lavishing devotion upon mute idols and demons, and how he had left them to their fate. But her voice had reached him, and so captivated him that he offered her a place at his side, that she might rule all of creation. But Andraste would not forsake her people. She begged the Maker to return to save his children from the cruelty of the Imperium. Reluctantly, the Maker agreed to give man another chance. Andraste went back to her husband, Meferath, and told him all that the Maker had revealed to her. Together they rallied the Alamari and marched forth against the mage lords of the Imperium, and the Maker was with them. The Maker's sword was creation itself, fire and flood, famine and earthquake. Everywhere they went, Andraste sang to the people of the Maker, and they heard her. The ranks of Andraste's followers grew until they were a vast tide washing over the Imperium. When Meferath saw that the people loved Andraste and not him, a worm grew in his heart, gnawing upon it. At last the armies of Andraste and Meferath stood before the very gates of Minrathus, but Andraste was not with them, for Meferath had schemed in secret to hand Andraste over to the Tevinter. For this the Archon would give Meferath all the lands to the south of the Waking Sea. And so, before all the armies of the Almari and of Tevinter, Andraste was tied to her stake and burned, while her earthly husband turned his army aside and did nothing, for his heart had been devoured. But as he watched the pyre, the Archon softened. He took pity on Andraste and drew his sword and granted her the mercy of a quick death. The Maker wept for his beloved, cursed Meferath, cursed mankind for their betrayal, and turned once again from creation, taking only Andraste with him. And Our Lady still sits at his side, where she still urges him to take pity on his children. From the Sermons of Justinia II. That kind of reminds me of Jeanne d'Arc. You know, the whole raising an army and getting betrayed thing?
I heard about your harrowing. Congratulations. Andraste must have smiled upon you.
The Maid of Orleans? Oh, what's that? The Maker. Sometimes I get XP, sometimes I don't. That's quite lengthy. There was no word for heaven or for earth, for sea or sky. All that existed was silence. Then the voice of the Maker rang out, the first word, and his word became all that might be. Dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. And from it he made his firstborn, and he said to them, In my image I forge you, to you I give dominion over all that exists. By your will may all things be done. Then in the center of heaven he called forth a city with towers of gold, streets with music for cobblestones, and banners which flew without wind. There he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. The children of the Maker gathered before his golden throne and sang hymns of praise unending. But their songs were the songs of the cobblestones. They shone with the golden light reflected from the Maker's throne. They held forth the banners that flew on their own. And the voice of the Maker shook the fate, saying, In my image I have wrought my firstborn. You have been given dominion of all that exists. By your will all things are done, yet you are doing nothing. The realms I have given you are formless, ever-changing. And he knew he had wrought amiss, so the Maker turned from his firstborn and took from the Fate a measure of its living flesh, and placed it apart from the spirits and spoke to it, saying, Here, I decree opposition in all things, for earth, sky, for winter, summer, for darkness, light. By my will alone is balance sundered and the world given new life. But no longer was it formless, ever-changing, but held fast, immutable, with words for heaven and for earth, sea and sky. At last did the Maker form the living world, make men, immutable as the substance of the earth, with souls made of dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. Then the Maker said, To you, my second-born, I grant this gift. In your heart shall burn an unquenchable flame, all-consuming and never satisfied. From the Fate I crafted you, and to the Fate you shall return, each night in dreams, that you may always remember me. And then the Maker sealed the gates of the Golden City, and there he dwelt, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. Trinities 5:1-8. So who were the firstborn? Who made the firstborn? Who are they? Apparently they lacked motivation, they didn't do shit. And then he created the second-born, and apparently that's men, and probably dwarves and elves. The Blight. This time we've gotten 50 XP. No matter their power, their triumphs, the mage lords of the winters were men and doomed to die. Then a voice whispered within their hearts, Shall you surrender your power to time like the beast of the fields? You are the lords of the earth. Go forth and claim the empty throne of heaven and be gods. In secret they worked magic upon magic, all their power and their vanity that turned against the veil until at last it gave way. Above them a river of light, before them the throne of heaven, waiting, beneath their feet the footprints of the Maker, and all around them echoed a vast silence. But when they took a single step toward the empty throne, a great voice cried out, shaking the very foundations of heaven and earth. And so the Golden City blackened. With each step you take in my hall, marvel at perfection where it is fleeting. You have brought sin to heaven and doom upon all the world. Violently they were cast down, for no mortal may walk bodily in the realm of dreams, bearing the mark of their crime, bodies so maimed and distorted that none should see them and know them for men. Deep into the earth they fled, away from the light. In darkness eternal they searched for those who had goaded them on, until at last they found their prize, their god, the betrayer, the sleeping dragon Dumad. Their taint twisted even the false god, and the whisperer awoke at last in pain and horror, and led them to wreak havoc upon all the nations of the world. The first blight, from Trinities 8. Oh, this is how it worked. Okay. So it really gives information, important background information and lore. All those readings. So I'm gonna read them, most of that shit. But it's like, it's not infinite, as you can see. We have like 41 magic and religion and 28 nodes, so it will come to an end eventually. What's that here?
Third floor is off limits till dinner time. First Enchanter's orders.
Okay, apparently it's not yet dinner time.
Many have already gone to Ostagar. Wynne, Aldred, and most of the senior mages. We've committed enough of our own to this war effort.
Your own? Since when have you felt such kinship with the mages, Gregor? Or are you afraid to let the mages out from under Chantry's supervision, where they can actually use their Maker-given powers?
How dare you suggest?
Gentlemen, please. Irving, someone is here to see you.
You sent for me?
Ah, if it isn't our new sister in the circle. Come, child.
This is...
Yes, this is she.
Well, Irving, you're obviously busy. We will discuss this later.
Of course. Well, then, where was I? Oh, yes, this is Duncan of the Grey Wardens.
Pleased to meet you.
You've heard about the war brewing to the south, I expect. Duncan is recruiting mages to join the king's army at Ostagar.
Who are we fighting?
The Darkspawn threat grows in the south. We need all the help we can get.
Darkspawn are a dwarven problem.
They have formed into a horde in the Korkari Wilds and threaten to invade north into the valley. I fear if we don't drive them back, we may see another blight.
Duncan, you worry the poor girl with talk of blights and Darkspawn. This is a happy day for her.
We live in troubled times, my friend.
We should seize moments of levity, especially in troubled times. The harrowing is behind you. Your phylactery was sent to Denerim. You are
My what was
officially
who?
a mage within the circle of magi.
My phylactery?
You may not remember, but blood was taken from you when you first came to us. This blood is preserved within a phylactery.
I don't like where this is going.
So they can be hunted if they turn apostate.
We have few choices. The gift of magic is looked upon with suspicion and fear. We must prove we are strong enough to handle our power responsibly. You have done this. I present you with your robes, your staff, and a ring bearing the Circle's insignia. Wear them proudly, for you have earned them.
Thank you.
It goes without saying that you shall not discuss the harrowing with those who have not undergone the rite. Now then, take your time to rest, or study in the library. The day is yours.
Well, that's maybe a little late. the whole warning about not sharing the harrowing, because I guess I thought I already told somebody. Can I leave the tower?
Not yet. Remember, the tower's walls protect us as much as they protect others from us.
I will return to my quarters.
Would you be so kind as to escort Duncan back to his room, child?
Does he need an escort in the Tower of Mages? I thought this was a safe area. Oh, anyway, it would be my pleasure.
The guest quarters are on the east side of this floor, close to the library.
Let's be
Now,
hospitable.
if you'll both excuse me, I have matters to discuss with Gregor.
Okay, we have gotten some... what's that? Duncan. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings, the Grey Warden sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness and prevailed. Like many others, Duncan gave up his family name when he joined the ranks of the Wardens, a symbolic gesture of cutting ties. He might say this was a convenience in his case, however. His mother was from Underfeld, his father from Tevinter, his childhood was spent in the free marches and Olay. His people were everywhere and his homeland was nowhere. He was given the almost impossible task of leading the Wardens in Ferelden, a kingdom that had thrown the Order out 200 years earlier. Facing local suspicion and hostility, he set about finding recruits. Recruits? Recruits. Knight Commander Gregor. Grim and taciturn, Gregor has been Knight Commander of the Templar forces stationed at the Circle Tower for so many years that hardly anyone except the first Enchanter recalls that he is not simply part of the tower itself. First Enchanter Irving. There is no higher office in the Circle Tower than that of the first Enchanter. The one who holds this title must not only be an able administrator, but also a mentor, leader, and a surrogate parent to all the mages of the tower. Irving has proven himself to be all these things with an added dose of cunning. Most apprentices know that little goes on in the tower that Irving does not know. He can soothe Templars angered by some childish magical prank at the same time that he lauds the prankers and everyone walks away satisfied. Okay. What is new here? Yeah, I already know that. Thank you. So we have gotten equipment. Mage ropes. Yeah, they're better than apprentice ropes, so we use them. And would be a +1 to magic better than a +2 to spell power? I have no idea. Ring of Study. Okay, we use that. Anything else to be had here? Okay, apparently somebody's following us. Hey, pile of
As you
books.
wish.
Blood magic, the forbidden school. Foul and corrupt are you who have taken my gift and turned it against my children. Transfigurations, 1810. The ancient Winters did not originally consider blood magic a school of its own, rather they saw it as a means to achieve greater power in any school of magic. The name, of course, refers to the fact that magic of this type uses life, specifically in the form of blood instead of mana. It was common practice at one time for a magister to keep a number of slaves on hand so that, should he undertake the working of a spell that was physically beyond his abilities, he could use the blood of his slaves to bolster the casting. Over time, however, the Tevinter Imperium discovered types of spells that could only be worked by blood. Autolyrium will allow a mage to send his conscious mind into the fate. Blood would allow him to find the sleeping minds of others, view their dreams, and even influence or dominate their thoughts. Just as treacherous blood magic allows the veil to be opened completely so that demons may physically pass through into our world. The rise of the Chant of Light and the subsequent fall of the Old Imperium has led to blood magic being all but stamped out, as it should be, for it poses nearly as great a danger to those who would practice it as to the world at large. Okay. Anything else? It's getting quite dark in this corner. Well, I guess that's it. So, I guess it's still not dinner time,
Move along now.
Okay, I guess we don't get to eat. Do you have anything to say, Duncan?
Thank you for walking with me. I'm glad for the company.
I wanted to talk to you a little more.
Yes? What about?
Have there been many Darkspawn attacks?
A horde has formed within the Korkari Wilds in the south. If they are not stopped, they will strike north into the valley. We Grey Wardens believe that an archdemon is leading the horde.
That sounds ominous.
Darkspawn do attack the surface in ragtag bands, but archdemons are capable of rallying the Darkspawn, turning them into an unstoppable force. A horde of Darkspawn, a veritable army. It is dire news indeed. I fear this is what we will have to face.
And the king is mustering an army to beat back this threat?
Yes, perhaps it will be enough if we play our cards right.
Why were Irving and Gregor arguing about the war?
It is not my place to comment.
Please, I'd like to know.
Gregor serves the Chantry, and the relationship between the Chantry and mages has always been strained. You've realized by now that the Chantry merely tolerates magic? They watch only because they feel they must.
He only told me that because I have the coercion skill. If I didn't have that, he wouldn't have told me. So that's why the skill is important, I think. I don't see why the Chantry and mages can't get along. Oh no, yes, but they were arguing about the war.
Any mages who join the King's army can unleash their full power on the Darkspawn. In fact, I'm counting on it. Gregor may be afraid of what will happen. What if the mages decide they no longer want to be governed by the Chantry?
What are your opinions on the matter?
I believe we must defeat the Darkspawn, one way or another. My opinions end there.
Hachi. We should continue on our way then.
Yes, let's.
And we have a new codex entry. Those who have sought to claim heaven by violence destroyed it. What was gold and pure turned black. Those who had once been mage lords, the brightest of their age, were no longer men but monsters. Sin was the midwife that ushered the Darkspawn into this world. The Magisters fell from the Golden City, and their fate encompassed all our worlds. For they were not alone. No one knows where the Darkspawn came from. A dark mockery of men. In the darkest places they thrive, growing in numbers as a plague of locusts will. In raids they will often take captives, dragging their victims alive into the deep roads, but most evidence suggests that these are eaten alive. Like spiders, it seems Darkspawn prefer their food still breathing. Perhaps they are simply spawned by the darkness. Certainly we know that evil has no trouble perpetuating itself. The last blight was in the Age of Towers, striking once again at the heart of Tevinter, spreading south into Orlais and east into the Free Marches. The plague spread as far as Ferelden, but the withering and twisting of the land stopped well beyond our borders. Here Darkspawn have never been more than the stuff of legends. In the northern lands, however, particular Tevinter and the Underfells, they say Darkspawn haunts the hinterlands, preying on outlying farmers and isolated villages, a constant threat. From Ferelden, Folklore and History by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar.
Yes, shouldn't we move along?
I just wanted to talk a little more.
Yes? What about?
I just wanted to say how honored I am to meet you.
I am flattered. I was not expecting quite so warm a reception.
I mean, you are a Grey Warden. The Grey Wardens are great warriors, I'm in awe.
Being a Grey Warden is a calling, a sacrifice. Our duty is to battle Darkspawn wherever they appear. We are elves, humans, and dwarves united by this common purpose.
Elves?
Some of our most honored wardens have been elves. The hero Garahel, the last warden to slay an archdemon, was one such. The Darkspawn threaten everyone. They do not distinguish between the races, and neither should we. Has being an elf in the circle been difficult?
A little.
It is hard to change perceptions. I've tried to reason with many, and failed. If one has always seen elves as less than human, it's hard to imagine them as something else.
It hurts when people talk down to me.
Do not let that discourage you. Let it temper you and make you stronger.
We already had that. We should continue on our way.
Yes, let's.
Okay, so you wanted to go to your thingy, your quarter. That's apparently there. There's a Mage of the Circle. So luckily we did all the exploring already, so we can press on. And in we go.
Thank you for escorting me.
My pleasure. No. The Grey Wardens. The first blight had already raged for 90 years. The world was in chaos. A god had risen, twisted and corrupted. The remaining gods of the winter were silent, withdrawn. What writing we have recovered from those times is filled with despair, for everyone believed, from the greatest archons to the lowliest slaves, that the world was coming to an end. At Weishaupt Fortress, in the desolate Underfells, a meeting transpired. Soldiers of the Imperium, seasoned veterans who had known nothing their entire lifetimes except hopeless war, came together. When they left Weishaupt, they had renounced their oaths to the Imperium. They were soldiers no longer. They were the Grey Wardens. The Wardens began an aggressive campaign against the Blight, striking back against the Darkspawn, reclaiming lands given up for lost. The Blight was far from over, but their victories brought notice, and soon they received aid from every nation in Thedas. They grew in numbers as well as reputation. Finally, in the year 992, the Tevinter Imperium upon the Silent Plains, they met the Archdemon Dumat in battle. A third of all the armies of northern Thedas were lost in the fighting, but Dumas fell and the Darkspawn fled back underground. Even that was not the end. The Imperium once revered 7 gods: Dumat, Zasikal, Toth, Andral, Razikale, Luzakan, and Urthemiel. 4 have risen as archdemons. The Grey Wardens have kept watch through the ages, well aware that peace is fleeting and that their war continues until the last of the dragon gods is gone. From Ferelden, Folklore and History by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. So if we kill all of the 7 dragon gods, then we have peace. Is that it? So 4 are down already? Or is only have 4 risen and only Dumat has been killed? So if we kill all the other 6, then we have peace? So, you want something from me, but I will deal with you in the next video. So, thanks for watching, and see you soon.